How we doing, guys?
Good. Running the ball is essential to who you are as a football team, but when you haven't been effective late in games, what's the benefit or the rationale of continuing to run late in the stage of a game where it hasn't been effective?
Again, you want to be balanced, but certainly over the course of the ball game, you want to get into things that you do well. And I thought we did a good job of that in the game. You know, typically we don't throw the ball 46 times in a game, but we did that because they did a good job defending our run. And I thought we did a good job getting to the passing game and making some huge plays in the passing game, really throughout the game, but particularly in the second half of the game. And you know, you're probably referring to the situation when we got down to the 2nd and 2. You know, we had a couple runs that weren't effective for us that got us into a 4th down situation, and there are some options within each of those runs that we have, and unfortunately we didn't execute those plays. And so you certainly don't want to be dumb tough in any part of your team. You want to be a team that adjusts as the game goes on. I thought we did a good job of that. I think we threw for almost 400 yards. So I thought we did a good job of that. Unfortunately, in those critical situations at the end, we weren't able to convert.
You look at the number of defenders that were in the box on those plays. Did Dak make the right decision by handing the ball off?
We didn't block it well enough, is the one thing that I would say. I would give them credit for doing a good job, you know, making a play on defense. And you can make arguments about the decision that he made. You know, they did a good job. You know, some of those are situations where, you know, their initial read says hand the ball off, and then the guy bounces back out, or the initial read says keep it, and the guy bounces back in. So, you know, teams do a good job against some of those looks, those zone read type looks, and also those RPO type looks. And, you know, so in hindsight, we didn't get the job done.
What do you like about what Blake Jarwin brings to the table?
Blake's done some good things for us when he's gotten opportunities. I think he's grown as a run blocker and as a pass protector. He's always been someone who's had good receiving skills. I think we've seen that. And he's made some plays for us when he's had opportunities. He's done a good job running with the ball after the catch. You know, at the end of the year last year up in New York, made some big plays. Last week, made a big play after the catch and did a good job in the game yesterday. The same kind of a play. So he's an athletic guy, and he has the capacity to make some plays in the passing game for us, and I think he's growing into a complete tight end.
After watching the tape, why do you think it was so hard to run the ball the way you like to successfully?
There was a commitment by them to stop the run. They did a good job of that. They have a good front and good linebackers. You know, it's a really good front seven, and you know, when you combine the guys they have up there and their desire and their commitment to defend it, you know, to give them credit. We didn't do a good enough job up front. We didn't do a good enough job running the football. That's everybody. That's coaches. That's players. That's everybody. But again, I thought we did a good job getting into the passing game, and you know, we're able to move the ball through the air fairly consistently throughout the game. So if they're trying to take one piece of it away, you attack them the other way, and I thought we were able to do that in the game.
You did do that, except on the 3rd down. You know, why not go to the pass, which had been so successful for you? Why even leave an option to do zone read?
On the 3rd and 2 late? Yeah. You know, you can go back and look at those plays, and, you know, when they don't work out, you say we should have called something differently.
Jason, you talk about when he gets the opportunities with Blake, but why, whether it's 2 tight end sets or spelling Witten, why do you think he hasn't had more opportunities to be involved in the offense?
Jason Witten's a really good tight end. We played a game Monday night 6 days ago, and he had 8 catches for us. And what he's done throughout his career is pretty well documented. So he's a really good blocker. He's a very good complete tight end for us, and has made a lot of plays throughout his career for us. So, you know, we like to get Blake in there. We've given Blake some opportunities in 1 tight end sets. We certainly like to give him opportunities in the 2 tight end sets, and he's done a good job. But they're a good combination. We like both those guys out there.
Did you lose this game more on the start when it's 14-0 after 1 quarter, or more at the end, where after you got back into it? How do you look at the slow start, you catch up, but then at the end you're not able to make the plays? Where do you put it more?
Yeah, ultimately we went ahead 21-20 and did a good job coming back in the game. They did a good job responding to that. We did a good job responding. We we bogged down in the red zone, had to kick a field goal, make it 28-24, and then we had a chance at the end of the game to win it. We went from the -6-yard line with 4:24 to go in the game, and we're knocking on the door at the +10, and ultimately we didn't cash in on it. So it's the NFL. Sometimes you're not able to make those plays. You give them credit. They did a good job. They did a good job in all three phases of their team. We didn't do a good enough job winning the game, and we'll learn from the experience and get better going forward.
On the final punt, was Tavon told to fair catch no matter what, or was that a decision you made with the ball in there?
Yeah, we didn't communicate that well enough. In that situation, you got a couple different options. You can go try to block the punt, and we decided not to do that. We decided that we thought there'd be a good chance that we could get the ball around the 50-yard line. So the biggest coaching point for Tavon was make sure you don't bleed the rest of this time off by spending a lot of time trying to return the ball. So fair catch was a very viable option. The part of it that we didn't communicate well enough was just simply, if you do feel like you have a good return opportunity, take advantage of it, catch it and go north and south and get as much as you could. So we did a poor job as a staff making sure he understood that, and hopefully we'll learn from that experience.
You guys did go over all of these situations each week, almost every day of every week. Does that surprise you that there was that breakdown?
Yeah, obviously we didn't handle that situation well enough. We did get a chance. We got the ball on the 48-yard line and a pretty good opportunity there. But I think if you look at it, you say maybe there was a chance to have him catch it and go north and south and maybe make 10 or 15 yards and start that drive a little closer to the end zone.
As a coaching staff, how do y'all view targeting receivers really close to the sideline? And when you look at what Amari did, what goes into what he describes as that feel for knowing exactly how to get it?
Yeah, there were some remarkable plays that those guys made, some great throws by Dak and some plays that Amari made and Randall Cobb made and MG made really throughout the game. And a number of them were on the sidelines. And again, it's a really good feel for those guys knowing exactly where that sideline is and the timing you need to have and making sure you drag that back foot. So there were some big-time throws made and some really good catches in some tough situations really throughout the game. So really give those guys a lot of credit.
Why try the 57-yarder to start on the opening drive?
I just thought it was an opportunity to score. Obviously, Brett's been really, really good in our stadium kicking the ball from distance. He's the only guy in history of the National Football League who's made 3 kicks over 60 yards and made a lot of 50s, 50-pluses for us. So we just felt like that was an opportunity for him in our stadium to do that. And, unfortunately, he didn't hit it the way he wanted to and weren't able to make that field goal.
Do you hesitate on that decision at all from the standpoint that this team has gotten off to slow starts? Are you looking to kind of kickstart them to get a faster start, or are you not wanting to play into that? I guess, how do you factor that decision to go for 57?
Yeah, we just believe in our kicker. He's made so many kicks for us. You guys have seen it. He's just made a lot of big kicks for us and doesn't seem to be fazed by the distance. He's got plenty of leg, and there's some arguments that he kicks the ball better from deep than he does short. So just wanted to give him a chance, felt good about the operation, felt good about our protection to give him an opportunity to kick it. Unfortunately, he didn't make the kick.
Are you factoring in last year when you talk about Maher, or this, because he's been better on the road than he is at home?
Yeah, probably just the time that we've had with him.
When you look at your third down success yesterday, what worked and how do you try and translate that to first and second as well?
We've been a good third down team. Yesterday I thought was a really good example. We had some makeable third downs. We did a good job converting, and then we also had some longer ones. And again, real credit to the guys up front, protecting, allowing those routes to develop. But I thought the guys did a really good job running routes, and Dak did a really good job delivering throws. So, that was a big part of our success in the game, being able to sustain some drives. Again, you heard me say this last night, each side had 9 possessions. So each of these possessions is big, and each of these third downs, to keep those possessions alive, they're big. And so I thought our guys consistently did a good job making plays. When you convert 60% of your third downs, and we've been up around the 50 number all year long, that's really important to playing good offensive football.
When was it hard to stop the run last night?
They did a good job against us. And, at the outset of the game, I thought we defended the run better. But as the game wore on, particularly as we got into the third quarter, they did a good job just getting in on us and, not allowing us to have that gap discipline that you need, setting the edges. And they did a good job letting those runners get their foot in the ground and go north and south. And, there were some really good examples, real examples of stopping the run the right way, individual plays in the game. But certainly consistently, we didn't stop the run up to our standard, and that's been something we've done a good job of around here, and we did not do a good enough job last night.
Talking about tackling deteriorated over the course of the game.
I don't think we tackled as well as we needed to last night in the game.
Did Leighton Vander Esch make it out healthy? He had to leave for a little while. Was he okay at the end?
Yes.
You talked about the issues with run blocking at times. What did you see as far as Zeke's issues trying to break loose against that defense?
Again, Zeke's part of the running game, and Zeke's a really good runner. When he has opportunities to run, typically he's pretty productive. So there were just some times where we just weren't able to get into him, create the holes. The timing was such that we didn't, just have that same kind of rhythm that we typically have running the football. And again, give those guys credit. It's a good front, good linebacking group. They did a good job, controlling the line of scrimmage on a consistent basis last night, and we just couldn't get the rhythm going in the running game like we need to.
We've asked you about slow starts for a number, even when you guys were 3-0, there's some slow starts. Do you think it's more of a mental thing for guys at the beginning of the game that they just take a while to get into it, or a physical issue where they're just not physically ready to go?
Oh, I think as much as anything else, it's about execution. And, you hear me say that a lot, but, you drive the ball on the first series on offense, we make a couple first downs, we get into the positive territory in the fringe, 38, 39-yard line. We have a makeable third down, and unfortunately we don't convert it. And the same thing on that second drive. So I think you can go back and point to individual plays, and we just have to find ways to make them on offense, and we have to find ways to make stops on defense. And I thought our guys did a good job responding. After we didn't have success on our first two drives, they had success. Then we started getting stops on defense. We had two really good drives and tied the game in the middle of the second quarter. So, I thought the response was good. We have to continue to work harder to start better in the games.
You had another opportunity to kick a 57 or 58-yard field goal in the second quarter, and you punted instead. What was the route? I think it might be in the same direction, I'm not sure, but why?
I think it was actually in the opposite direction. It was a little longer. Typically his range is inside the 40-yard line. That's an area where we think, and I think that was just outside the 40, so there's probably 1.5, 2 yards difference between the two. So we just felt like in that situation it was good to trap him down there, and I thought we did a good job on both of those red zone punt opportunities. Chris did a good job hanging them, and our Flyers did a good job getting down there. They had drive starts in the -10 and the -6, the two times we did that, so that worked out well for us.
How would you break down what DeMarcus Lawrence provides at the back end, his run defender, and his pursuit in that department? What makes him so effective?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a desire and a determination. He's not one of these guys that says, I'm a pass rusher. I'm an elite pass rusher. I'm going to get the quarterback. He prides himself on being an elite football player. And he prides himself on being a great run defender with runs at him and runs away. And I think if you watched that game last night, there were plenty of examples of him chasing the ball down. Obviously, he's quick, he's fast, he's explosive, he's athletic, he's all those things, but he has a tremendous determination to get to the football. And you saw that on some screens. He did a good job, on the backside of a screen, getting over there and tripping the runner up and making sure they didn't get a big play. And, really all of our guys, there's some great examples of Robert Quinn in the game last night, chasing things down from the backside, running 30, 40, 50 yards across the field and down the field to go make a play. So it's really part of the DNA of our defense. Everybody chasing to the ball, 11 hats to the ball on every snap. It's something we're always trying to instill in our guys, and D-Law is a great example of it.
What is the problem with screen defense? Teams in the past have had success with the screen game against you. Are they using your aggressiveness against you guys on the screen? Because there are a lot of wide open screen plays, certainly last night.
Yeah, we haven't done a good enough job on a consistent basis defending the screens. There's some good examples of us doing that, but other times not. And I think your explanation's a good one. We're an aggressive team, we're a fast team, we're an up-the-field team. So when you are that, teams try to run screens, they try to run draws to combat that aggressiveness, and that's something that we've always had to try to battle against, because you never want to let the deceptions, the deceptives, take your edge off of you. But you have to be disciplined. You have to make sure you get to your coverage responsibilities. You keep your landmarks. You set the edge to the defense. All the same principles that you have in the run game. So again, some good examples, but certainly too many big plays in the screen game.
On the counter of that,
you have 9 games now in the books. What about your team tells you that they have the wherewithal to become consistent?
Oh, I think we've played, at times, we've played well. We've played consistently well throughout games. And I think that's probably a work in progress for every team in the league. Hopefully over the course of the year, you become more and more consistent. If you want to be playing at the end of the year, that's what you have to be. And oftentimes you see teams or players or units flash plays, and then they're not playing quite as well. And so you're always trying to make sure your performance play in and play out with 11 guys in each of your units are doing things the right way. That's how you become a consistent team. So that's something we're always striving for, something we're always trying to do better, and we believe we have the right kind of guys to do that.
On the fourth down play, did Dak get off the front side too quickly? Did he have Cobb coming underneath, open more than Zeke against Kendricks?
Yeah, there were some different options on the play. He had a couple quick options. He had Randall, he had the tight end, he had Zeke, and he worked his way to Zeke, and unfortunately it didn't work out for us.
We've talked about how it sometimes takes games for the run game to really hit its groove, both for the offensive line and the running back, because they're really getting their practice during the season. So when you have a game like this, how do you try and reset to make sure, regardless of a good defense, it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, you just do that. You reset it, you look at it, and you look at the 22 runs that we had in the game, and you say, okay, what happened? What were the issues? Okay, and this one, and this one, and this one, there were ID issues. We weren't all going to the guys we needed to go to. On these ones, this guy just beat this guy on this particular block. Okay, maybe we weren't patient enough on this run. Whatever those things are that help you improve in the running game, you just look at them and you try to learn from the experience. And even in games when you run the ball well, you go back and say, okay, how about these 8 plays? That wasn't good enough, that wasn't good enough, that wasn't good enough. So you're always a work in progress. You're always trying to build on the good. You're always trying to clean up the stuff that's not up to standard.
Does your schematic approach change a lot week to week based on the opponent you're playing, or do you just try to the way that you play football, just try to go out and beat the opponent in your brand?
Oh, I think it's always a combination of doing the things that you do, but recognizing who you're playing against. I mean, the basic schematic question you have to answer every week is, what front do they play? Are they a 3-4 team? Are they a 4-3 team? Are they this? And so you kind of get into what you want to get to. What coverages do they play? Okay, they play this, 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 and this. So you put up the stuff in your scheme that attacks those particular coverages. How do they handle pressures and all of that? So hopefully everything that you're doing is within your system of football, but you're certainly game plan versus the schemes you're playing against and the players you're playing against.
How did Heath come out of that game? Looked like he was limited to special teams as
Yeah, he was. He's been dealing with a couple shoulder injuries, and he's also been dealing with, both knees have been bothering him. So early on in the game, he was playing defense, but I think he only ended up playing 10 defensive snaps. But he did stay on special teams because we needed him there. Darian Thompson went in and played the rest of the game.
How did Darian look to you that much you had?
I thought he did some good things in the game, made some plays, made some tackles. Other times, like the rest of our defense, not quite good enough. But he'll learn from the experience.
Dak's warm-ups and what he does with his hip torque generated some attention last night. How do your players go into deciding what they do for warm-ups? Is that something y'all work with them on?
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
Dak's pregame warm-up generated some attention last night and some of the different motions he does. Do y'all work with your players on what they do with their warm-ups, or that's something they decide?
Well, we do dynamic warm-up together as a team, but I would say that ever since I've been around, everybody has kind of their own way of getting themselves ready to go. Dak has a routine that he does. As a quarterback, he's been working the last couple off seasons, so he's kind of developed this routine that he does kind of before practice or before a game to get himself loose, and then he gets himself integrated into what we do to warm up the team.
Talk about the issues in that third quarter when they put together that 10 straight run play drive and not only scored but ate up the clock. The issues for your defense.
Yeah, again, the same issues. We didn't play good enough run defense, and it's about controlling your gaps. It's about setting edges. It's about getting off of blocks. It's about running the ball and tackling. I think on each of those plays, you could point to us not doing a good enough job, when they had some success in those areas. So, again, there were some times in the game where we did a good job stopping the run, but certainly at that point in the game, we did not. And that was an important part of the game because they were able to, like you said, control the ball, limit our opportunities. When you play against good teams, you're going to get your opportunities limited. 9 possessions for each side. Every one of them matters. And they did a good job in that sequence.
Your linebackers grayed out as a group against the run last night.
The whole unit did not grade out well enough against the run. Again, they were productive guys. They made 10, 11, 12 tackles and had assisted tackles and all of that. But in the whole, we just did not defend the run well enough.
We asked you about your screen defense. Offensively, your screen game this year, it doesn't seem like you've gone to it as much and you've been successful with it in the past. Why is that? Why has your screen game not been a big part of it?
That's something we have to get better at. You talk about deceptives. That's an area that has been good for us at different times in the past, and that's something we got to continue to try to hone in on and improve upon.
Medically, how did you come out of that game? Medically, how did you come out of last night's game?
I think for the most part we came out pretty well. We're looking at Connor Williams, his knee. It's a little bit of an issue. L.C. Collins banged up a little bit. And we talked about Jeff Heath. So we'll look at each of those guys and see how they do as the week goes on.
Zach had an elbow, I think.
Zach was dealing with an elbow.
Did you
What was
consider?
LC's injury? What was Lyle's injury?
He's dealing with a back.
Same thing that's been bugging him.
Yes.
Did you consider challenging the Witten potential PI in the end zone, or is it just not the way that it's gone this season? It just seems to be a fruitless challenge.
Yeah, I just don't think that they're going to overturn those unless it's really, really egregious. They're not going to overturn them. I think evidence suggests that. I think the conversations we've had with the league about it suggest that very directly to us. So it's important in a game like that to make sure you have your challenges and you have your timeouts as the end of the game comes upon you. So in that situation, it just felt like it was better not to do that.
I know you want to use everybody as much as you can, but Pollard just get a lot of snaps last night. How hard is it then just to get him going on a regular basis?
Yeah, we needed to get him out there a little bit more. That's something we talked about, going into the game and coming out of the game. We just felt like we didn't give him enough opportunities. In a game like that, sometimes you're trying to get Zeke going, to be honest with you. And, we're trying to get him on track a little bit. And, unfortunately that didn't happen, but we got to make sure Pollard's a part of it a little bit more. He was part of the plan. Unfortunately, we didn't execute that enough. And, he's a good football player. He's done a good job with his opportunities.
Some of that at the expense of who or what? When you think about him, getting him involved more, would you rather have Zeke in there than him, or Cobb with the game that he's having? I mean, is that just kind of...
that's always the question. You're taking Zeke off the field to give Pollard a chance. And one of the reasons we like to do that is to keep Zeke fresh for 60 minutes of the game. And that's been a good thing for us at the end of the game when we've given Pollard some opportunities. Zeke has played that much better. But just the rhythm of the game and the flow of the game and the limited possessions in the game get you into a deal that, okay, he's been resting for a little bit because they've been on the field a little bit. He's ready to go again. So sometimes that factors into it as well. But, once we got going in the passing game, the receivers are making a ton of plays for us. So, continue to feed them the ball.
Thank you.
All right. Good to see you guys.